Good afternoon. This is Don Maxwell from Live IT Academy, and we're continuing our lessons in Excel using Excel 2016. Today's topic is on using simple formulas. All right, so we know that Excel is a very powerful tool in helping us with calculations. Now, part of using the tool for calculation require that we put formulas in our spreadsheet. So what are formulas? Formulas is an equation that performs calculation. And formulas contains numbers, mathematical operators, and cell references. So what's a cell reference? A cell reference is a cell address like A1 or B1. This address identifies the location of a value used in the calculations. In addition to that, we use mathematical operators within formulas. And what are mathematical operators? Parentheses, exponentials, multiplication. By the way, in Excel, we use the asterisk for multiplication, division, and plus or minus signs, right? Now, in order to understand our result, these operations must be in order of precedence. And that's important. Whether you're in Excel or trying to resolve a mathematical problem, you must know the rules. And what are the rules? The rules are the order of precedence. For example, when we're doing calculations and we have terms in parentheses, that should be calculated first. If we have exponential, that gets calculated next. And then multiplication and division from left to right. And finally, plus and minus from left to right gets calculated. So we must remember that order in order to get a valid result. Now, you said Excel uses relative cell references in these formulas. And that's going to be important in Excel because many times all we have to do is fill the pattern within our calculation, and the cell references will automatically adjust from the original to fill the pattern. And we're going to see that within our demonstration. All right, so let's go look at how we can do a simple formula. This spreadsheet that we're looking at is a partial spreadsheet, and it says it's a sales forecast. And within the spreadsheet, we have some products like jewelry type products. We have net prices for them. We have the date they were released. And we have annual costs per product item. In other words, $6,000 is the unit cost annually, right? So if we want to determine what our annual sales projection will be, then we would have to calculate the product price times the annual unit costs. All right, everybody sees that? Okay, so let's proceed and see how we can do that in Excel. The first thing we have to do in Excel is to find a resultant cell. And a resultant cell is where it is makes sense or important to put an answer, right? Now, we've treated each row as a record in Excel. So in order to find the answer for the anklet, how or what is my annual sales for Anklet if my unit cost is $6,000 and the price is $100. Then I would put my resultant cell right next to my record, right? Because that field becomes part of the record. All right, the next thing I want to do is to use the equal sign. Now, some of you know you can use the plus or minus sign as well, because these operators tell Excel that you're about to put a formula in the cell. I prefer to use the equal sign. Traditionally, we know that in an equation, we have an equal result. So I prefer to use the equal sign. Okay, next, we must find the first term or the first cell reference with values in it. So here, B6 would be my first cell reference, right? And next thing is I want to multiply. So in Excel, the asterisk is the multiplication sign. So I'm going on my keyboard, Shift key, and press the 8 key. Shift 8 gives me the asterisk, right? And then I'm going to select the other cell within my equation, which would be the annual unit cost. Now, notice that there is an animation around my selected cell, and it's highlighted, right? Different colors. Here I have light blue shaded, and there I have a red shaded with animation that shows that those two cell references or cell address is included in my formula. So if you look in my resultant cell, you would see the formula as I am typing it. But look above on the formula bar. That formula is also in the formula bar. Equal B6 times D6. See that? So both the resultant cell and the formula bar would have the formula as I am typing within the formula within the cell. Next, I am going to press the equal sign or the enter button. The enter button. And note there is a result in my resultant cell. See that result? Right? Of course, it makes sense. 100 times 6,000 gives 600,000, so that makes sense. But note something else. As I press the enter button, the cell pointer goes below the active cell or the previous active cell. So the active cell is now below my formula, the cell with the formula, right? That's important. I press enter. Now the active cell is below the cell with the formula. Now, if I want to see that formula, I must go back and select the cell that has a formula in it. And as I select it, you can see that, right? So when I press the enter button, it advanced the mouse pointer or advanced the cell pointer and make the cell below active. So I need to go back to the cell that has the formula in it. So I'm going to click on that. Next, I'm going to find the fill handle. Now, what's the fill handle? Well, the fill handle is a tool that allows us to copy formulas quickly and accurately and to fill a pattern. Now, for example, our records, all our products are in the same pattern, right? And our calculation is in that pattern. We're going to be doing net prices times annual costs. And the reason why Excel is so powerful is because within our formula, we did not use the actual value 100 times 6,000. Instead, we use the cell reference, which is the cell address, B6, D6. That gives us an added advantage because if any of these values should change, 100 or 6,000, we wouldn't have to redo our formula. Excel would automatically calculate the right amount. So for example, if we decided to change our unit cost instead of 6,000 to 5,000, see? How quickly is that? Excel quickly identifies any change in the cell, any value change. So we wouldn't have to redo the formulas. So this is what we call cell references. Another thing that cell reference gives us is the ability to fill the patterns below. All right, so for example, we need to still calculate each value for each jewelry. So instead of going and doing it one by one, I'm going to find that fill handle, which is the lower square. Look at the active cell and look in the lower right-hand corner. You will see a tiny square, right? You can see that. I'm circling it with my mouse pointer. I'm going to take my pointer, my mouse, and I'm going to point to that tiny square. And when I do, my cursor now looks like a plus sign. See? I went from fat plus sign to a plus sign. See that plus sign? That tells me I have placed my pointer on the fill handle. Next, I simply double click my mouse pointer, I place on the fill handle, and I double click. And look what happens. Now, some of you traditionally would probably drag. You could probably drag, right? And that will also fill. So if you were to undo this, and if we were to drag, it will fill the pattern as well, right? But how easier it is to just simply put the cursor on the tiny square and double click. That's even faster. Okay? All right, so notice what happens. We said the cells are the cell references are the ones that helps us to fill these patterns. Why? Because the actual values are in the cells. So the addresses are pointing to the actual values. So the advantage is we don't have to recalculate our formulas each time we change a value, right? We simply change the value and it will be reflected in our formula because we're simply pointing to where that value is. And that's what we call the cell references, right? And simply filling it allows us to fill it because it's a relative cell references. These are all relative cell references. Okay, and you can see B6, D6, and B7, D7, and so on, right? And finally, D13, D13, right? And so we simply fill that pattern. Now, the other thing is, what if I want to see my formulas in the spreadsheet? What if I want to see my formulas in the spreadsheet, right? Right now, we're showing the result, just the numbers, the values, not the formulas in the spreadsheet. So an easy way to do that is go to formulas, formula auditing, and go to show formulas. See? Go show formulas. And there you have, right? You can see the formulas right? And to turn that off, it's just a toggle switch. So I go back and click off of it. So I can turn show formulas on and I can turn it off. Again, formulas, formula auditing, show formulas, right? So that gives us the advantage to see if there are any formulas in our spreadsheet. Now, note also that we have an audit field option button that appeared. Where is it? It's this button right here, right? Audit field, that's called the audit field option button. If I click on that audit field option button, you will see it has a menu button on there, and I can double click on that, and this says, oh, guess what I can do? I can copy, which we did, or we can fill only, fill without format, or do a flash fill, which is what we do when we double click. All right. And in addition to that, if I double click, right, I can get any of these options, right? If I double click, I'm using the flash fill, right? Or copy the cell, and that's what we're doing. So again, this is called the autofill option button, right? And the square is called the fill handle and fill pointer. Fill handle and fill pointer, right? And we simply copy. Okay, great job, guys. I hope that you continue to study hard and forward to our next lesson. Have a wonderful day.